several years ago, about 2007 to 2009, not only did I have seen the anime Welcome to the NHK, I also read the manga as well when it was still being printed. I liked them both. I thought it was a rather unique series that doesn't rely on a stupid high school setting like almost every other anime I've seen in the past few years. Now, after rewatching the anime in order to get myself prepared for this review, it turns out I actually like the anime more than I did the first time around. Why? Well, that's what the review's for, so let's start. Welcome to the NHK's 2006 24-episode psychological dark comedy / drama anime series produced by Studio Gonzo that is based off of the 2002 one-shot novel. The story is about 22-year-old Tatsuhiro Sato, who is unfortunately both a hikikomori and a NEET. A hikikomori is a Japanese term for a social recluse that often confines themselves away from society, such as staying in their apartment or in their bedroom for long periods of time, which is what our protagonist does. As for NEET, it's an anagram for not employed, educated, or in training. Pretty self-explanatory. So why is Sato in such a screwed up position? Because he thinks everything around him is a conspiracy that's out to get him. The biggest conspiracy he believes is that the television program NHK stands for Nihon Hikikomori Kyokai, which he believes is mass producing hikikomoris. So after 4 years of unemployment and insane hallucinations that drive him into talking to nearby inanimate objects like his refrigerator, he one day meets a young girl named Misaki Nakahara who claims to know Sato very well and believes she can cure his hikikomori disease. So Sato reluctantly signs the contract and thus his therapy session begins. But that's not all. Our protagonist also has to deal with various other misadventures ever since he starts stepping out of his house, such as developing a hentai game with his angry otaku friend / neighbor, running into his pill-popping high school senpai and being dragged into an offline meeting / suicide pact, and various other crazy shit. Damn, Sato, maybe you should have just stayed at home. So there's plenty of things going on that should have this anime entertain you from start to finish, but it could also enlighten you on some dark, realistic themes that some of the adult viewers may be able to relate to, like depression, loneliness, the fear of change and uncertainty. When I saw this anime first time around, I just saw it straightforward as a comedy, really, going as some of the dramatic parts and laughing at Sato's downward spiral into screwing up. But now after second viewing of this show recently with a new perspective on life and such, while it is funny, the dramatic parts actually work well for me now because I understand where he's coming from in some of these situations. Although I'm not as mentally ill as Sato, and I am on the complete opposite side when it comes to conspiracy theories, I think almost all conspiracy theories are complete bullshit. But anyways, let's get back on track and talk about the anime. Let's actually cover some of the characters in the show. Misaki Nakahara. She's the female protagonist of the series that claims to know our mentally disturbed friend Tatsuhiro very well and has been watching over him for some time. She also knows that he hangs out in a nearby park late at nights and spends the remaining 90% of his day at his house, and there's nothing fucking creepy about that whatsoever. She gives Sato psychology lessons once a night at the park as part of their contract, and she even tries to help Sato in other ways whenever he needs to date to show his mother, or whenever he's in a more messed up position than before. Truthfully, not much is known about Misaki throughout the entire series, other than she has a very positive, slightly cheerful personality, and that she's interested in Sato because, and this is Misaki's quote right here, he's more pathetic than she is. Why? Can't say. Spoilers for the last few episodes, so you're just gonna have to see it for yourself if you want answers. Next is Kaoru Yamazaki, Sato's next door neighbor that's a hardcore otaku. He wants to develop a game with our protagonist, but due to Sato's incompetency, the task is much more difficult than he imagined. However, he refuses to throw in the towel and tries his hardest to provide an amazing product for the comic market. He has some serious anger issues, and some of that anger can even turn into misogyny at one point. Despite his hardcore creepy otaku views, he's still interested in a classmate that goes to the same school together. Last character I want to cover before this review gets too long is Hitomi Kashiwa, Sato's high school senpai, or senior if you prefer. She's actually probably the reason why Sato is paranoid and believes everything is a conspiracy, because she did long before he did. See, she and him were the only two members of their literature club, so they became pretty close friends. She also has an addiction to drugs and suffers from depression. Did I forget to mention some of these characters are insane in their own special little way? The art and animation was provided by Studio Gonzo. I've been scouring across the interwebs like a dumbass and discovered that this particular animation studio is something of a pariah for some of the anime snobs. When I look back at the stuff they did, most of the shows on the stuff on that list I watched, like Vandred, Desert Punk, the original Hellsing TV series, not as good as the OVA, but I still found it to be interesting and it did get me into the series. These were stuff that I liked back then because back then there was no internet to tell me otherwise. And welcome to the NHK's visuals are actually really good. Oh, well, alright. Admittingly, the quality did drop in the middle of episode 4 and all of episode 17, but the rest of the series looks pretty damn amazing. Character designs are realistically grounded, but they still have that thing where Japanese characters look like white people. And most of the Moe Blob visuals are limited to the meta anime stuff that Yamazaki and Sato explore. Plus, Sato's hallucinations are fun to watch. I mean, him seeing a mass of puddings with human faces, and those little blue mascot guys, I forgot what they were called, but they look like something straight out Dr. Seuss's Nightmares. Also, I can't think of a whole lot of anime like this one that would make the main character surfing the web for porn very exciting. No, seriously, that entire montage was pretty fucking crazy. Now let's cover the sound. The opening theme song Puzzle, which there's 2 versions of for each half of the series, is pretty damn catchy in a laid-back way. I do prefer the original because of the trumpet, but the first closing credits song, Odora Akacha Nigan, is a fast-paced, really crazy dark tune. Definitely fits with the dark psychological things that's going on, and the second half credits song, I don't know what it's called, I forgot, but it's alright. It's very mellow, very laid back, complete opposite of the first ending credits music. Now, the background music mostly consists of some very mellow tunes. I would pull up some examples of what the tracks are called, but you're just gonna have to, YouTube it yourself or look for it somewhere. But it's really good. It's fun to listen to individually. There's one particular song I really like. I don't know if I favored it on YouTube, but it's the music. I really love the music. Now, as for the dub, the show was originally licensed by ADV before Funimation carried it. As such, you got an ADV cast from the mid-2000s like Chris Patton voicing Sato, Greg Ayers voicing Yamazaki, Lucy Christian as Hitomi, and Monica Rao as almost every other character, really. You can actually play a drinking game with how many characters she voices, no joke. She voices Nanako, which is Yamazaki's love interest. She voices Megumi, a character I haven't covered yet, but she's actually pretty important after the second half of the series. She voices various other supporting characters, blah blah blah. But the dub is awesome. I love a lot of the ADV dubs from that period. They even added some interesting lines that were probably just the cast messing around for some gag reel, but they decided to throw it in there. And to avoid spoilers, I won't give out a single example. Plus, it's just too damn funny to spoil. So all in all, I love Welcome to the NHK. Like Genshiken, the charm comes from the realism to the characters and situations, even though it's very, very dark, but not homicidal dark. Suicidal dark? Maybe, but not homicidal. But it also has some great moments of comedy as well. I still laughed at some of these moments, like when Sato gets into his game addiction and stuff like that. I give this anime a very high recommendation to almost everyone out there. The first 4 episodes are available dubbed on Funimation's website, so you can sample it there. I think they also have it subbed too. You can give it there if you're anti-dub. And the save version DVD is only around $20 on Right Stuff, and that's a steal for something that's 24 episodes with the way anime prices are nowadays. I know it's a pretty old anime, but if you haven't seen it, I'd say go and check it out. Seriously, check it out. I'm also in the middle of rereading the manga of Welcome to the NHK as well. Not sure if I'm going to review that one because that one's out of print. If you do want to see a review of Welcome to the NHK, the manga, you feel free to say so, but it really is difficult for me to review something that's really hard to obtain nowadays. But if you're curious, I'll consider it. But what you can expect for the future, my next two reviews are going to be that sci-fi back-to-back thing, Irresponsible Captain Tyler, followed by Martian successor Nadesico, respectively. They're the TV versions of each of them, not the OVAs in the movie. So that's all I gotta say. Leave a comment if you wish. This is Darkscreen217 signing out. Hope to see you in future videos. Peace!